Alright, so you may have noticed that with the events of the war arc having wrapped up, on the channel we have released a number of videos in regards to its aftermath. And that's because there's just so much to discuss with all this. I mean, so many fundamental aspects of the series have been said to be uprooted by these developments. Developments, mind you, that we have been working towards for a number of arcs. It is genuinely difficult to quantify the impact this is all set to have, as we have never seen anything of this scale before. Every controversy surrounding heroics, every story of suppression and subsequent designation of villainy, every secret withheld, everything has led to this point. And so what we can expect to see from here is the unexpected itself. My Hero Academia will never be the same. And although the shift and changes may at first appear to be drastic, you have to remember that this is everything that we have been building up to. And I imagine the most daunting change will be found in the case of UA High School. Now, UA, for the past year, has been no stranger to criticism and public scrutiny. The USJ incident was an unprecedented breach of security that served to undermine public perception of the school immensely. However, because it was self-contained and saw no casualties outside of a few faculty members, it was permissible. Unsavory, but permissible. Later on, with the Forest training arc, we saw a similar event take place, wherein the very same villainous orchestration was able to bolster its strength and conduct an even more concerning attack, as in this case, not only were students harmed and injured, but the likes of Bakugo Katsuki, the student who took first place at the highly televised sports festival, was captured and taken hostage. And ultimately the kid was saved, but as far as the public knows, at the expense of their once infallible defense and the former symbol of peace, All Might. Now, in the wake of all this, UA decided to take certain precautions, which included the current dormitory situation required of all its students, the suspension of certain freedoms caused by the acts of terror executed by the symbol of fear, Shigaraki, and presumably anticipated by One for All. Now, thankfully, all of our Class 1A and 1B students were able to remain enrolled by their parents, but look, at least in the case of Deku, it was already a hard sell. So tell me, dear viewer, how would a parent justify this particular instance? Because remember, it's not just the fact that the villains insinuated a nationwide slaughter. It's the fact that the Public Safety Commission and virtually all the heroes in the country anticipated such an attack and failed at the expense of thousands of lives and livelihoods. It's the fact that for months they had knowingly been preparing these minors for a war of their own indirect creation and sent them in blind. In fact, I would argue that beyond the application of plot armor, there is no reason why not a single student died in this conflict. I mean, Bakugo had his stomach ruptured and suffered extreme blood loss, yet kept moving at extreme speeds after regaining consciousness. Mina would have absolutely died if not for the last-minute intervention of Kirishima, and Kaminari got hit with the exact same attack that rendered Midnight unable to move and vulnerable to subsequent assault, which led to her demise. Now, as of the latest chapter, we now know that a debilitating number of heroes and hero agencies have closed up shop. And with public perception of heroics being at all-time lows, even disregarding the case of UA, how do all these other hero schools validate their existences? Being a hero is no longer the desirable career path that it once was, and right now, society is in a state of anarchy. One that is only able to currently function because those who would otherwise rise to claim it have decided to remain dormant for a time. Regardless of anything, even if you disagree with the notion of UA closing its doors, if you believe we will be getting back to the classroom anytime soon, I assure you, you have another thing coming. But therein, is that not a complication for the story? Frankly, the name of the series is My Hero Academia, with a mutual emphasis on heroism and learning. So how does the story stay true to its core concept in such a canonical climate? Well, as we said previously, an unsettling number of heroes and hero agencies have gone out of business, leading to a sort of a void in the country. a void which I believe is to be filled by our hero hopefuls. This is a story of succession, a passing of the baton, and so I feel like we would be remiss to limit such a concept to only characters like Shigaraki and Deku. This is an opportunity for our entire cast to come to the forefront and make a sizable difference. On account of these horrific events and dastardly transgressions, heroism has been stripped bare to its most core values. Popularity polls, merchandising, fame, all that is gone, and what you are left with are true heroes, the likes of which Stain would recognize as such. And we know that they have it in them because that is exactly what they proved when they decided to go up against Gigantomachia against all odds. This world has effectively been turned on its head. We have gone from next to no one daring enough to be a villain in a society protected by All Might to one where society's most dangerous criminals have flooded the streets in mass. And because we know Horikoshi to be such a fan of Western comics, I can't help but draw comparisons to the Batman storyline, Nightfall, wherein its lead antagonist, Bane, freed all the Supermax inmates of Arkham Asylum, causing Batman to have to take on his most cunning and menacing foes in a single night, which culminated in the oh-so-infamous breaking of his spine at the hands of Bane. An iconic story which eventually detailed a passing of the mantle as well. But even with all that in mind, I don't want this to come across as an immediate change or shift. This is something that won't take forever, but it will definitely take time as these students are recovering. I mean, the things that they have seen have been devastating enough for pro heroes who have been in the game for so long, to quit their jobs. And so this is definitely going to be a test of courage and determination. But I believe that going through that and experiencing these feelings and dealing with them will harden these characters to be even more determined to make a difference and change the way that society is currently. And not just to get it back to where it was, but to make it better, because a lot of things about this world are not right. The villains are, to an extent, not entirely wrong in their pursuits, as certain things are just downright unreasonable. I mean, consider the fact that what they did to Gigantomachia to take him down is on paper illegal. Midnight made that expressly clear when she gave the order to Momo. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and these are the most desperate times of all, so expect some crazy things to come to fruition. Because in the end, someone will need to step up to the plate, otherwise we have no story. And who better than the young focuses of our series? And with them being so young, there is inherently a sort of purity that is expected of them by the populace. These are fresh young faces, and so the sort of seeding perception of corruption and that sort of thing probably wouldn't be attributed to them. They would just be seen as people who want to do good, which is what a hero is supposed to be. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. My hope is that this will provide a number of our more underappreciated characters with more opportunities to shine, but we'll just have to wait and see. And hopefully we can finally understand who the UA Trader is, if that's even relevant anymore. But yeah, if you'd like to see those sorts of discussions to come and plenty more, make sure you're subscribed to Plot Armor with notifications on. And hey, if you're craving even more than that, when it comes to anime and manga content that we don't cover on the channel, you'll want to check out our Patreon page linked in the description. Because when it comes to bringing you some of the best My Hero Academia content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.